Beautiful Anonymous changes each week. It defies genres and expectations. For example, our most recent episode, I talked to a woman who survived a murder attempt by her own son. But just the week before that, we just talked the whole time about Star Trek. We've had other recent episodes about sexting in languages that are not your first language, or what it's like to get weight loss surgery. It's unpredictable, it's real, it's honest, it's raw. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.
You are in our sights. We want to kill you. That's not a threat from a war zone. That's a voicemail left for a federal judge, a United States federal judge, a voicemail left by an American in Texas. In Florida, a man told a congressman he would bash his head in with a bat. In Illinois, a woman emailed Donald Trump's son's school and said she would shoot both father and son in the face. This is the real story about political violence in America. Now, according to records reviewed by Lawfare and the Brookings Institute, the headlines I just read are just 3 of over 500 criminal cases involving threats against public officials in the last 10 years. 500 plus Americans charged with threatening political officials federally since 2013. That's almost one a week.
This comes during a year of record threats on public officials.
I've been covering terrorism and extremism, both in government and out of government, for the last 20 years. This is a different time than it was 5 years ago or even 2 years ago.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we're talking now about cases where we've got words plus actions. We're talking about throwing bombs, Molotov cocktails, breaking into homes, and turning political rage into real-world terror. For example,
a man is now under arrest accused of setting the Pennsylvania governor's mansion on fire.
On April 13th, just a few weeks ago, a man named Cody Balmer allegedly launched an arson attack on Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's official residence. He broke in. He used Molotov cocktails and set the place on fire. He later told police he planned to attack the governor with a hammer that he had if he ran into him.
Our people have been put through too much by that monster. All he has is a banquet hall to clean up. I'm tired of offering extensions of peace. I only want to be able to provide for my children.
The governor's wife and children are in the home. Now, they escaped. This is an act of terrorism rooted in political hate. And it's just one of dozens of serious attacks in recent years. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, from 2016 to 2025, 25 politically motivated attacks on U.S. government targets have been carried out. That's compared to just 2 in the 25 years prior to that. That's an 1,150% increase. Something is going seriously wrong here. Come on. I'll remind you of a few instances. 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks shot at and hit Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, while he was speaking at a rally. A second attempt happened on the golf course in West Palm Beach. Not long after that, in 2022, David DePape arrived at Speaker Nancy Pelosi's home and fractured her husband's skull with a hammer. Remember the hammer we just mentioned at Shapiro's residence? If he runs into the governor, he intended to use it. Solomon Pena, a failed state candidate in New Mexico, arranged a drive-by shooting at the home of 4 Democrats in 2022 and 2023. Notice the 2 different years. That means he didn't just have a bad night. There was an opportunity to think about this. Now, this is not hate speech. These are not online threats. These are actual attacks, real weapons, real casualties. Lawfare calls it a, quote, slowly growing everyday insurgency. A nationwide pattern of threatening voicemails, doxing, which means telling people where an individual lives, swatting, bomb threats, online harassment, and anonymous calls to police targeting public officials. Now, here's the thing. This isn't the last resort. Many of these offenders never attended a rally, never joined a militia, never posted a manifesto, but they believe violence is justified and public officials are traitors, that it's justified. And here's the thing. I will bet you dollars to donuts not half of them, if that, could pass an 8th grade social studies test. They could not justify or explain what the hell they're all enraged about. I get death threats. I do. If I talk about Israel and that sort of thing, I get death threats, and I'll tell you what I find. The more violent the threat, the worse the grammar. Here's another stat. 70% of those charged with making threats had criminal histories. Many were repeat offenders, what prosecutors called serial threateners. One of them made over 300 threatening calls to the same prosecutor, and he wasn't even charged the first few times. And look, there's no consistency in how these cases are handled. We teach people how to treat us. You teach people how to treat you. If they do stupid stuff, they do dangerous stuff, and what happens? Nothing. You've taught them how to treat you. You've taught you can threaten me. Nothing happens, so why not go to the next level? Lawfare reviewed court records from all 94 federal districts, and they found that in some states, a vague threat can land you in federal court, but in others, 100 specific threats with names, dates, and weapons won't get you charged. And if you do get convicted, you can't predict what the consequences are going to be. You may get probation, you may not, you may get incarcerated, you may not. People cannot predict the consequences of their actions. Some people will tell you, hey, don't associate with known extremists. Oh, well, wow, that taught me a lesson. Others are just told, stay out of trouble. Wow, boy, there's a rude awakening. No tracking, no monitoring, no treatment. Look, this has consequences for people. People can get dead over this. According to a 2023 survey by the Brennan Center, 1 in 5 election officials say they're likely going to quit before the next presidential election. Why? Harassment, threats. This is not a partisan issue. This is a crisis for democracy. These threats don't just hurt people, they drive out the people who have worked hard to get where they are. They've sacrificed, they've gotten involved so they can give back to this country, give back to their community, their county, their state, the nation. And they're being driven out of office by these people that decide, hey, violence is justified. Why? Because you're a judge, a jury, an executioner. Who left you in charge? So what do? Well, experts recommend a multi-prong response. They say we need to strengthen the laws on digital threats and stalking. Yeah, that'd be nice. We need to create consistency in how the cases are prosecuted, both federally and locally. I couldn't agree more, because you have to be able to predict the consequences of your actions so you can weigh whether or not the actions you're taking are worth the consequences you're facing. Right now, you have no idea. We have to expand de-radicalization programs, especially for repeat offenders. It's been my experience that people turn to violence when they run out of socially acceptable ways to express themselves. And that's why I say the worse the threats that I get if I speak out about Israel or something like that, is the more violent the threats, the worse the grammar. They've run out of ways to express themselves. So they say, I'll just kill you. I'll blow your head off, or I'll blow your house up, or I'll blow your car up, or whatever. They don't have the vocabulary to express themselves. I'd like to say, not my problem. Go back to school. But you know what? It is my problem, because I'm targeted Senators are targeted, congressmen are targeted, school board officials are targeted. People don't have the right to do that, and there need to be some clear boundaries drawn, and when they cross those boundaries, they need to pay for it, and pay for it with 100% predictable consequences. And unless and until they do, why would we expect them to stop? They need to understand, you do that, you aggress against someone, you break into the governor's house in Pennsylvania, you break into Nancy Pelosi's house, you take a shot at the president, things are going to get really bad for you right away. And we'll see how enraged you are in your 7th year staring at a brick wall. They need to understand there are consequences, not some of the time, every single time. This is not free speech. When you're inciting people to violence, that's not free speech. That's not protected. When you throw a Molotov cocktail, that's not expression. That's not free speech. That's arson. That's attempted murder. If they're lucky. If they're not, it is murder. We have to let people know we're not going to put up with this anymore. We need to dial down the rhetoric. Politicians need to dial down the rhetoric. All of these people online need to dial down the rhetoric. We need to calm down. We're in a country where we have the right to settle disagreements with ballots, not bullets. This is real. It's getting worse. This slow burn is threatening everything. And it's not so slow anymore. And if we don't stop it, it's going to blow up, and it's going to blow up really ugly. And you know when it tends to do that? It tends to do that in the spring and summer, when it's warm and people are out on the streets. And those of us who want peace and civil discord need to stand up and say so. And that's the real story. Wherever you're getting the real story, make sure you subscribe and follow. Have you checked your home title recently? Many homeowners never have, leaving themselves vulnerable. Scammers can steal your home title, forge your signature, and target your equity. Protect yourself from fraud before it's too late. Secure your title and your financial future today. You won't even know it's happened until it's too late. Ensure you're not a victim. Use promo code PHIL at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any change, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use promo code PHIL. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code PHIL.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call. You talk to one of them, they stay anonymous. I can't hang up. That's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today, Beautiful Anonymous.